Namaste and in Lak'ech, and welcome to this episode of One World in a New World. I'm your host, Zen Benefiel, and before we move further, please subscribe, like, and share the video below. It really helps, and I guarantee you, whoever you share it with will be happy you did too. So thanks for doing that. This week's guest is Professor Rao. He is a 21st century philosopher and the father of soft leadership. He's written several books: Soft Leadership, A New Direction to Leadership, See the Light in You, and Strategies to Build Women Leaders Globally. He is a contributor to the Entrepreneurial Leadership Network and Entrepreneur Media. He is also a columnist for CEO World Magazine, and he is the founder of a nonprofit called Vision 2030, 1 million global leaders. So stick with us. This is going to be a really great conversation. We'll be right back.
Explore the thoughtless sphere. Embark on a life-changing journey of self-discovery. Embrace harmony with self, with others, with Earth. One world in a new world. Zen Benefiel skillfully ignites conversations, guiding guests to reveal personal journeys and perspectives. Listeners are inspired to seek knowledge and find wisdom in their own lives. Join this transformative journey as we navigate the depth of human experience.
So, Professor Rao, glad to have you with us. I've been looking forward to this conversation. Thank you for being with us.
It's a true honor to be on this show, and I respect your time and I empathize your compulsions. But despite all the compulsions, you invited me to speak. So it's a true honor to speak about my health challenges and various other aspects in this episode.
Absolutely. And this is part of that inner and outer bridge that we talk about. And, we're bereft of talking about the inner conversations that we have or the inner experiences that we have, often for fear that we're going to be deemed in some way non-functional in life because of it. Now, with you, your development into leadership, and we'll get into your health challenges in a bit. But when you were younger, there had to have been some manifestations, some experience of interconnectedness that you have. And I know your culture and tradition has a lot of that involved as well. But what was your personal experience of the interconnectedness with life that began your journey?
So let me briefly introduce myself so that gives proper clarity about my profession and my life. My name is Professor M. S. Rao. I have authored 54 books and I have 44 years of diversified experience, including Indian Air Force, business, teaching, and training. I'm a late bloomer, dyslexic, ADHD, OCD, and add to that, I had a brain stroke. I don't have two-wheeler, I don't have four-wheeler, and I was born into a toxic family and grew up in a toxic environment. Unfortunately, I had a brain stroke in the year 2021, and despite all the challenges, I rose from the ashes like a phoenix. I'm 62 years old. Of course, age is just a number. In the year 2021, I had a brain stroke, and my right portion of the body was totally paralyzed during the COVID. Then I gradually I recovered, but still I have health challenges. My right shoulder and right hand has been numb, and I can't type with my right hand, and I can't eat with my right hand. So lots of challenges I have in my life, and I made my debut as a non-fiction author in the year 2010, and I started
Let's trace
writing
back
books.
before we get so much into the future, Professor. Let's go back to
Yeah,
when you were young, because this is
yeah,
where
yeah.
we start with everyone. How did
Yeah.
you notice in your early years that there was more to life than just the physical world, that there was an interconnection that you had with reality that maybe others didn't see or experience?
See, at the age of 18, I had a dream to serve my country, and then I joined Indian Air Force. That means a military I joined. And before that, in the childhood, I had a asthma patient, and I was a lean built, and I was not healthy. So I had lots of challenges as a child,
Hmm.
and I was dyslexic and ADHD, OCD, and so lots of challenges I had, and but more than 10 times I survived from death. That means I was close to death more than 10 times in my life. So that means there is some power or some hidden power or spark that was
Yeah, it would seem
driving.
like, if you're that challenged and, you have these opportunities arising in multiple, situations,
Yeah,
the fortitude that you must have internally to be tested in that way has
yeah,
got to be huge. So
yeah.
how did you navigate through that? What was the consistent thread that brought you back to life again?
I don't know what is the reason, but I feel there is some divine force,
But if
some
you do,
spiritual.
hang on just a second,
Uh,
Professor,
yeah,
right? When I hear a question, somebody asks a question, somebody says, I don't know. You know about you, right?
yeah.
Right? So
uh,
I'm going to dig a little deeper because,
Good, good, good.
what if you did know,
Ah,
right?
yeah,
What would it be?
yeah,
What do you believe might have been the thread that kept you coming back?
yeah. So maybe some divine force or some spark, something that was pulling me, and because of that, I started overcoming the challenges, and I was leading from the front. And I can't clearly specify why I led my life. Of course, everybody is born with some purpose, like anybody else. I was born with some purpose, so to provide meaning for the world.
Hmm.
So I was destined for doing something big. Maybe because of that, I survived more than 10 times. I was close to death more than 10 times, but I survived every time. Maybe some hidden power, or divine force, or spiritual powers. They were pulling me. They were encouraging me to bounce back. The latest challenges I had
Shall
was
we talk
into.
about purpose, maybe? That you had a design or a divine design that was worthy of going through the trials and tribulations that you did in order to understand the challenges that we face?
Yeah, every time I was being tested, time to time,
Hmm.
and I was trying to pass the tests, and I was overcoming the challenges. So so lots of challenges, lots of troubles I encountered. But whenever I had troubles, I was uh, I was troubleshooting, and I was bouncing back. That again I was having some challenges. So it's part of the life, because life is not linear. Life is not a straight line. Life is not a cakewalk. Life is full of ups and downs. So my life
Sure. It's
was more
certainly
of
not linear,
previous.
right? There's that aspect of, spiral dynamics, right? Life's a spiral. It's not linear, and it's certainly not, or it's non-linear. And there's an interesting group out of Europe, that's sharing a lot of things, that bringing together non-linear, neurodiverse thinkers. And uh,
Yeah.
and many of those, right, the dyslexia, that gives you an opportunity to learn things differently than others.
Yeah.
And yet, with that, the others who don't have that kind of challenge don't really understand the value that it holds in the diversity of thinking that it brings to any situation,
Yeah, you
especially in
rightly.
leadership.
Yeah, yeah, you said rightly. So I think this dyslexia was a challenge, but for me it's an opportunity. And if you look at Richard Branson, he too had dyslexic, and many people they have dyslexia. But I think recently this Richard Branson from UK, and he
Right.
started a school, that is a school for dyslexic people. So he's promoting because he himself was a dyslexic, and even I was, even I am a dyslexic. So everyone has challenges. Everyone has some learning disabilities, but we have to
Sure.
overcome we have to overcome the challenges. It's part of the journey.
Well, and
And
with your challenges too, it also gave you certain understanding of the challenges that others face. It broadened your horizon to develop the soft leadership that happened over
soft
time,
leadership.
right?
Soft
So,
leadership. Oh, good. You are rightly talking about soft
sure.
leadership.
So in that, how did you, as you proceeded from your teens and early development, what kinds of thoughts and, coming out of those, um, the challenges that you faced in the near-death experiences and those kinds of situations, how did you reach into the depths of your being and pull out the kernels of salience and truth and connectivity that got you into that next phase of your life?
See, every phase was a challenge in my life because, first of all, I was born into a toxic family. That was one
Hmm.
challenge. And second thing was I am dyslexic, second aspect. Third thing, I was not provided with a regular education because I was a college dropout. At the age of 18, I joined the Indian Air Force to serve my country. So that was the first step in my life. And luckily, I came out of that toxic environment and grew as a healthy citizen and as a leader in the military in the Indian Air Force. So it was a turning point in my life. So after I joined Indian Air Force, then I was not even a graduate. I started learning. Then I was reading because I was getting limited money at that time. With the limited money, what I was doing, I was supporting my parents. And then again, because I was getting money from the military, and I was getting free food, free shelter, everything, and I was getting money from my Air Force. That money I was giving to my parents. So that's how I supported my parents.
Hmm.
So this is the first step in my life because my parents were totally disorganized, and my father was a litigant and very problematic alcoholic, and my mother was a very toxic woman. So like this, lots of challenges I had, but still, as a as a son, I had to support my parents, and I supported with the limited money because in those days I was getting very limited amount at that time salary. So every month I was supporting. Every month I was sending money to support my
Hmm.
parents. So like that, I did it. Then again, after I
You're
joined
doing the
Indian Air
right
Force,
thing, right?
mm,
According to what you felt needed to be done, and your culture supports that too.
yeah, any culture, whether Indian culture or American culture, we have to support parents. So that's what I did it. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, I was misused and backstabbed by my own siblings. So lots of challenges I encountered in my life. So it was a very big blow in my life. That was the challenge. So not to trust the people blindly. That was the one thing.
Now,
And I was
did you
getting,
find that in that, and I know that that had to have been just an excruciating process because really, as I mentioned before, we just want to love and be loved, right? So in that recognition, it gave you the tools to question why that's happening. What kind of answers did you get from that? Because was there other questions that you asked other than, you know, why is this happening and what can I do about it?
so everyone thinks like that. What we can do, why me only? It happens for everyone. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a unique story.
Hmm.
And no two stories are alike because everyone has their own story. So my story is unique. My journey is different. But I was misused. I was let down by my own family members. So lots of challenges I encountered, and that too, I did go to the second next level after I joined the military. I was getting limited money that I supported my parents. Then again, what happened? I started studying of my own because I was in the military. Military life was very tough and very challenging. And what then I was going for education because I started learning of my own. I
Hmm.
acquired six qualifications after I joined the Indian Air Force. Right, and all these qualifications were through private education, not through regular education. People might think that I acquired my qualification from Harvard or Cambridge, but the fact was that I was a college dropout. I started English is not my mother tongue, right? That was a big challenge, and I was speaking in Telugu, and I had to learn every movement, and that too health challenges, and lack of money, lack of opportunities. And I served in the Indian Air Force in the lowest rank of a corporal. People might think that I was an officer in the military, but I served in the lowest rank of a corporal. That was one more uh,
Hmm.
challenge, money problem. Then I started with my Telugu language, not English language. I had to mug up, I had to learn English. Then again I had to adapt, learn by myself, and I had to do my duty in the military. Then leftover time I was going for education and learning, and I visited libraries to acquire knowledge. I had passion for knowledge. Three things I do in my life. First thing is I go to temples, pray God.
Hmm.
Second thing, I visit libraries. Wherever I go, I go to libraries because I am a continuous learner. Third thing is that I go to gym. For the last 40 years, I am going to gym. So these are the three qualities that pulled me up to this level. I'm 62. Despite having all the challenges, I bounced back. Why? Because of my military habits and my discipline and education or positivity or positive psychology, whatever you can call it. All these things led me to overcome all the challenges. But again, I had one more challenge. I had a brain stroke in the year 2021. So it
Hmm.
happens for everyone, but for me, my life was full of struggles and sufferings, betrayals. So that's why I'm planning to. I started writing my memoir, uh, uh, titled "Survivor." So this will talk about turning your scars into stars. That is converting your threats into opportunities. So that is the basic theme of this memoir. This is a short version of autobiography. So
Hmm.
I started writing my own memoir. It talks about my brain stroke, then betrayal, and my health challenges, and then how I am trying to recover from the
Sure.
challenges. So these are all the things I am highlighting.
Good, good. Now, back to your three things. You say you go to temple.
Yeah.
Is this a Hindu temple?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was born as a Hindu, but
Okay.
I
The
go to
Hindus.
even I go to no I go to church also Sunday. Sunday I visit RC Roman Catholic Church also.
Okay.
I
So you
visit
bridge
in
worlds.
Seattle.
So you're
Seattle.
bridging worlds. That's great. Now, as I understand the Hindu, it's based on the Vedas, right? Where
Yeah,
the
yeah, Vedas. Yeah.
understanding, and so the Vedas basically, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, the essence of that is that we're all divine threads, incarnate, connected to source, and capable of God consciousness.
Yeah.
So in that, we have that immense ability to be whole, right? No matter what. We're given all kinds of challenges like you have. Um, and it reminds me, two people, one near and dear, my wife who suffered a stroke and as a piano pedagogue, and that was really her right side of her body was paralyzed. Took her 3 years to learn how to talk and play again.
Mm,
Today, that was in 2008. Today, you can't tell the difference. Now,
mm,
and of course, she was challenged with she came to America speaking Russian. She had to learn, had some English, but, she was thrust in the midst of an English speaking world that she had to
mm,
navigate. Now, the other person that I think it's specifically particular to you is
mm.
she had, um, there was a problem with her leg and the surgery somehow uh,
Oh,
it caused nerve damage, and they wanted to
Ah,
take her leg. And she said, "No,
ah,
I am going to walk again."
ah, ah.
Now, it took her, I want to say 3, maybe 4 years
Hmm.
for the nerves to heal in her leg and to regain full use of it, along with getting it back to the normal size. So that kind of fortitude, that will, that faith in oneself and their ability to heal, because neither one of those two had physical therapy. They had no outside help. It was sheer determination and faith and trust in their own ability to heal. So, have you noticed that in your own process? Because you're what, 3 years, 4 years into it now?
4 years, 4 years.
Okay.
Ah.
Have you noticed this kind of internal conversation that you're having with self as far as
Yeah,
your own
yeah,
capacity to heal?
yeah, you have asked the right question because I have internal dialogue, right? Sometimes I talk to myself. Why me only?
Sometimes I think we talk to ourselves, wait, we got 70,000 thoughts a day. And I think, most of those are about self, right?
Yeah, 70,000 thoughts. But unfortunately, no, yeah, your research is correct. Around 70,000 thoughts we get, but mostly people get negative thoughts. This is the problem with the people. But we should convert the negative thoughts into positive thoughts because I am a psychologist and I'm an author, so I'm a motivator. So definitely, I convert negative things into positive things.
Well, and you
That's
got to
what.
moderate yourself too. That's what the first work is on self, the self-love. We talk about that phrase, self-love, and a lot of people think, wow, that's pretty hedonistic, right? Well, it isn't. You're talking the embracing your being, loving yourself for everything that you are without judgment.
Yeah,
Only
good.
then can you truly love another. Now, in that
Okay,
process of the 70,000 thoughts and probably two-thirds, three-quarters of them being self-deprecating, right?
correct.
How do you find the thought adjuster in you to change that thinking? How did that happen?
Yeah. Okay. Just let me interrupt this conversation. Ayn Rand. She was a Russian.
Ayn Rand, very familiar.
Yeah, I read her books. She's Russian and she settled in I think California or somewhere. And I read her books and because she talked about self-love, other aspects. So Ayn Rand, she's very powerful, and some of the Indians they admire Ayn Rand. Okay, so that is a different topic because when you talk about self-love, suddenly I recall Ayn Rand because she was in Russia. Then she became American citizen and she lived in Hollywood actually.
Sure.
So it's about I am doing little bit research about because now I am planning to write a book on my philosophy also, but not now. After 4 or 5 years, I want to write one more book
So
on
back to the
philosophy.
question,
Uh,
right? Back to the question.
uh,
What thought adjustments did you make, or have you noticed that you've made in your process towards healing and addressing
yeah,
those 70,000 thoughts?
thank you for circling back to the story and also to the incident. See, I believe in the power of subconscious mind. So
Mhm.
when I had a brain stroke, what
Maxwell Maltz
happens?
has a lot to say about that one.
Yeah, when I had a brain stroke and I was on the bed, doctors thought that I won't survive. I was telling to myself that yes, I'm all right. I'm all right. Like I was giving commands to my subconscious mind because I go account to my subconscious mind.
Hmm.
Everything I do based on my subconscious mind. And also when I do when we are going to have we are having this conversation now. For that also 24 hours I worked hard by looking back your interviews, so many interviews from various interviews, I have researched. So one way to get the idea of the conversation and also to learn the things. That's one thing. Because when we talk for 1 hour or whatever it is, so 24 hours I research a lot about one particular interview. That's how I do it. I'm very meticulous in doing the things, right? So now coming to this point, so I have the power of subconscious mind, and based on that, I can convert any negative thing into a positive thing. That was the basic achievement in my life. And after the brain stroke also, I just bounced back about my illness, or if I have some money issues, or if I have some various other challenges. So I give commands to my subconscious mind before going to bed. So when I give commands to my subconscious mind before going to bed, next day morning automatically I do things in a right way and a positive way. That's why I'm successful even today. This is the secret weapon. I am following it.
Now, and that's an awesome process to have before you go to bed in programming yourself. Now,
programming, yeah, correct word. Yeah, you are putting it in the right way. Yeah, correct.
Absolutely. It's like you're putting it in the thoughtmosphere for your own higher self to operate in. Now, what about the moments? Do you find that, do you catch yourself in the negative thoughts and as you're having them in a moment? And how do you recognize those and then shift them? Because I know, studying psychology and with the depth of experience and understanding you have of the human psyche, how do you specifically recognize, honor, and then change those thoughts?
It's very simple, because when you have goals, what happens? You can remove the negative thoughts. So I set my goals. So I set smart goals, smart, measurable, achievable, realistic. So like that, I set goals.
Timely.
When we have time, yeah. Oh, so we are.
I'm aware of SMART goals. I use them all the time.
Yeah, sometimes I'm forgetting.
Not that I'm so smart, but
actually, I was very fast in speaking. For the last 4 years, I'm speaking very slowly because of the brain stroke, and I'm using blood thinner now. Aspirin I'm using regularly. I have to take aspirin to avert second stroke in my life. So I'm taking aspirin and I'm recovering after the brain stroke. I'm happy that I'm circling back to the same energy levels. That's the thing. Now coming to this negative to positive thoughts, setting goals is the best way of the thing. Best thing is to set the goals. When you set the goals, even I share with my students also, set goals so that you can remove negative thoughts and fill your mind with positive thoughts. That's how you can grow as a healthy citizen. So that's this one aspect. Second thing I share with everyone is that utilize the power of subconscious mind. Program your mind in a right way so that you get positive results. So you can, it's the power of whatever you want, you will get that. The power of attraction. I think I watched your video also about law of attraction. Yeah, I told you, I do a lot of research. There was a topic for 1 hour on law of attraction. I don't know the host. You attended in that law of attraction. So that means you can understand the kind of efforts I have put it. But only thing I am not
this
able
law
to.
of attraction too, it operates on simple principles of physics, right?
You told the same thing. Yeah.
And in the quantum world, which we're understanding better now because of the science development in the end, and so it's basically proving what the Vedas said, right? Everything's vibration, all right? So we can't think our way through vibration. For us to believe that's possible, that's the thought comes after the vibration, after the sense, after the question.
Yeah,
question takes thinking, right?
Yeah.
And then that how we feel, how we think, how we are, right? The energy we carry, the evidence of whether we're on target or not is going to show up in front of you.
Hmm.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
Do
I
you
noticed.
remember? Let
Uh,
me ask you this. Let's get specific. Do you remember a moment where you had a thought, a knowing, a point of order within you, I guess, that is so powerful that it only happens in an instant, and you almost feel like there's a heartbeat or a pulse in your body simultaneously when it happens, right? I see you nodding your head, right? So,
yeah, 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 yeah,
so,
yeah,
so you
yeah.
recognize that.
Uh,
Okay, how do you find that place? And what have you noticed when you're there? And specifically, can you identify a situation where that happened and you noticed the result in the outer world?
Yeah, we notice and we feel it. I don't know whether instinct or there are certain words. I'm not. I'm confused. It's the instinct or what that intuition or certain words are that they are related to the them only. So yeah, you. Yeah, I feel it. Whatever you are telling, I'm able to
Well,
feel
but is
it.
there,
I'm not able
what I'm trying
to
to
put
get
it
to
across.
is for our audience sake, right?
Uh,
Because we
uh,
hear these things and we share these stories and they're not so well defined because we really haven't had a chance to talk about them.
yeah,
Right? To really drill down into the essence of it and explore what's really there on a very simple level, as well as the complexity. Because when you can develop the simplicity, like Einstein said, right? If you can explain it to a 5-year-old, if you can't explain something to a 5-year-old, then you really don't understand it. So how do we
yeah.
get to that 5-year-old place? How did you, which comes back to the very simple, what did you do? How did you think? And what reflected back to you from the outer environment that you were in. Can you name something like that? I know that's putting a lot of pressure on you to drill deep and define. I think it's something of value that you have the ability to share.
Yeah, my core values are positivity and power of subconscious mind, uh, and the power of universe. So if you like echo, if you do good, good will come back to you. So these are all basic premises. I stick to
Well,
it.
this is all the
So
theory stuff. What I'm looking for, right?
yeah,
Because the theory's great. How
yeah.
do we make it practical? What evidence can we cite of the process that we can then build upon to assist others as well as ourselves? Because the more we drill down and find commonality, find congruence, find coherence, the better that ripples through the audience as well as
Mhm.
you and I.
No, it's very complicated thing to explain
Is
in
it?
my in my no no in my
Well,
context
let's for a moment, let's experiment, Professor. All
in view
right,
of
let's make
my
it
brain
simple.
stroke. Yeah,
If
yeah.
it were simple,
Usually, I make things. If any complex things are there, I'll make them very simple because I was a professor.
sure, I
So
understand that.
any
So
complicated thing,
Professor,
I make it very simple and straight.
so let's
Usually I
if
follow
you
that.
could,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm loving this.
yeah.
In the presentation of that, so as you've experienced, can you identify a time, a place, a circumstance where you were able to recognize your own power and magnetize a result?
No, I'm not able to explain. This is very challenging.
Okay,
Okay, fine.
so
Uh,
bringing it down to the 5-year-old level, was there an opportunity that you had where you recognized the changing of your thinking and something that happened as a result of the change of your thinking that was evident to you that it was your change of thinking that caused it.
Yeah, that's correct. See, attitude is the main thing that will play a crucial role. Your attitude will determine your altitude. So attitude is everything. That's what I believe. So
Sure.
attitude matters. So because when you have a very positive attitude, strong attitude, and the right attitude, you can transform the people and you bring the changes and you can impact the world in a right way. So
Sure.
attitude is one of the aspects I emphasize, not only in books and also in my educational aspects.
Sure.
That's what
Well,
I do.
attitude's everything, especially in business today. You know, you hire for attitude, innovation, and creative capacity rather than skill set. Because skill set you can train.
Hire for skills and fire. Yeah, hire slow, hire slow, fire fast, something like that. Hire, hire,
Pardon me, I misspoke on
hire
the
slowly,
skill set. You do look for skill
hire,
set, but it's a trainable one.
hire for skills, train for attitude, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I often because I emphasize this what they call a HR, human resources. Hire for attitude, train for skills. Yeah, correct. I got it. Hire for attitude and train for skills. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the slogan, HR slogan, that means human resource slogan. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Now I'm developing clarity after the brainstorm. Yeah. This.
So in the
Yeah.
experience of this, as you were developing and becoming educated and working on your PhD, and what was your focus in the psychology of self, I suppose? What prompted you to really go into psychology and to discover the value there?
No, psychology is the area which is about the people and their mind, how people behave, so we can predict. So this is human psychology. This is one of the areas I mentioned, which is related to soft skills again.
Mm-hmm.
And I earned my PhD in soft skills, which is related to psychology. Yeah, my specialization is soft skills actually. In that, soft skills is one of the areas.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and the
but-
soft skills and the hard skills are, very similar. I have an MBA, which is heavy in hard skills, right? Structure,
Yeah.
organization, and
Yeah,
statistics,
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Then I have a Master of Arts in Organizational Management, which is
I know.
soft skills.
No, I know. I read your video also. I watched your video.
Well, I just
also.
wanted to differentiate the differences to edify what you were saying as the value of the soft skills, right? You've got to, in leadership, you got to understand both, right?
See, you are talking about soft skills. Yeah, this is the book talks about soft skills and soft leadership. Which is again related to this skills and various other aspects, attitude, all these things are involved in this. So when we talk about this particular MBA, then psychology, then again soft skills, I think some of the aspects you are also aware, like soft skills and hard skills. And we need soft skills and hard skills to survive, not only the workplace, everywhere. And we have to emphasize more in the soft skills in the current world and less on technical skills, because these soft skills are just like interpersonal skills and which are related to emotional intelligence. So these soft skills we are very much focusing.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, this was started by I think 1995. It was started by Daniel Goleman. I think he started the book. He revolutionized emotional intelligence. He took up only one area, that is emotional intelligence, and he revolutionized. And his article in HBR is very famous. So like that, people, when we want to succeed in life, we have to take one particular area and work on that. We have to do research. So when you look at this Daniel Goleman, he's on my connection only, on LinkedIn. So he also published a very excellent article on emotional intelligence, and he published a book on emotional intelligence. And he stick to only one area, that is emotional intelligence, because there are too many areas in this world. So in my case, I am a jack of all and master of none. This is the problem. In the sense,
I'm a little different philosophy. There's never too many. There's never too much.
Yeah,
It's our belief,
yeah.
and that causes us to pull back and
Mm.
resist,
Yeah.
right?
Uh,
We are told, even in your culture, the Hindu culture, the Vedas, there's abundance available, and it's only our thinking that keeps it from happening. The ways that the little things that we think, that we feel like those, too much, too many. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not enough. Imposter syndrome, right? Oh, I don't have the skills for that. Why not just step into it and find out, experiment,
yeah, no,
right?
it's a learning curve.
How do you suggest, because there's a lot of fear involved there, fear of failure, right? And failure is like, you don't learn if you don't fail. The thing is, if you never try, you never will. So how do you get beyond in the psychology of the soft skills, right? How do you promote that movement of the changing of the mind, right? Metanoia. How do you facilitate that in the development of soft skills? Because there's an awareness, there's an empathy, but then there's an interaction that has to take place that demonstrates that you have the awareness and the empathy, right? How do you find that? How do you promote and express the ability to do that?
It's a great question. These words, they are interlinked. So you are talking about empathy, you are talking about emotional intelligence, you are talking about soft skills, like psychology, like that. These are all interlinked. But again, the base of all these things, the base for all these things is attitude. That's what I believe. That the core of everything is attitude. If you have a right attitude, everything will fall into the place. If you have a negative attitude, everything will go wrong. So we have to emphasize on positive attitude so that things will fall into the place. That's what we are looking at. Whether you talk about soft skill or hard skill or psychology or various terminology that we are talking about. So we have to emphasize purely from the perspective of attitude, because attitude, and let me share with you one fact. Last century, a lot of research was done. Uh, uh, what makes people to succeed? So one word, that is attitude. What makes the people succeed? Last century, a lot of research was done. Why people succeeded is because of one word, that is attitude. So that means you can understand how much importance we have to give it to the attitude.
So what's the attitude managed by, right? Would that be our belief systems that manage our attitude?
No, your attitude depends on everything, whether it's your core system, value system, belief system, whatever it is, everything comes to this. Your attitude, whether it's a positive attitude or negative attitude, everything depends on the attitude. If you have a positive attitude, you will get everything positive. If you have a negative attitude, everything will go negative. It depends on attitude.
Well, this is all great, and I hear you. Theories
And let me add.
That's a 30,000-foot view. How do we bring it down to the 5-year-old practical level in everyday life?
No, that's you have to transform the mindset of the people. That's the only way. There is no way. You have to transform the mindset of the people, whether it's a 5-year-old or 50 years old, whatever it is. You have to transform the mindset of the people, whether it's students or middle level management or senior level
Okay.
managements.
So
We
let's
have
flip
to,
that from the mindset of the people to how do you do it?
no, we should have a right mindset, a tool set, and skill set. These are all interlinked again. These
Okay,
three.
I think you missed the question.
Uh,
You're still speaking to an audience. I'm talking
yeah,
about you. How do
yeah.
you do it? Let's get, specific. What is your process? What do you change? What are the kinds of thoughts that you entertain in that positive framework?
See, we have to emphasize on this growth mindset that matters.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still missing. Okay, I'm miscommunicating because you're
No,
giving
no,
me
no.
answers
It's
that
not.
are still
You are communicating clearly. You are not. You are on the right wavelength. Only thing I am not able to catch up.
okay.
The
No,
problem
no,
is
no.
from my
We're
end.
catching up. That's
No,
fine.
no.
This is
You
the
are
dance,
correct.
right? We're
You
dancing
are
well.
correct. You are correct.
So
Only thing I'm struggling to connect the dots. That's the challenge in view of my health challenges.
sure,
Otherwise,
I understand that, and I hope
I'm
you don't you're offended by my persistence in asking the questions, right?
no, no, I'm very
Because I think
persistent.
you've got the value that the audience deserves to hear, and it's from that personal side of things because you're speaking from the theory, from the knowledge, and yes, we all understand this, but in order to make it personal, direct, authentic, and real, we need to be able to share what goes on inside of us that may be helpful to the people listening.
For the audience. Yeah,
Right.
the ultimate idea is to share the valuable ideas and insights for the audience so that they get benefited.
Well, let's take an instance where you've had some negative thought that's come up, or something that you remember that kind of like Massey says, a significant emotional event, right? Where your thinking, you recognized it and you shifted it. What were the thoughts that you had prior, the negative thoughts, let's say, and then what did you replace those thoughts with on a very
Yeah,
practical and
yeah, yeah,
pragmatic
no,
level?
this is what I stick to my story and aspect is that I
Well, it's your
remove
story. It could
negative
be anybody else's, right?
and I remove negative thoughts and I remove negative thoughts from my mind and replace my mind with positive thoughts. Right? That's what I do it because people have got around 70,000 thoughts, whatever it is.
Sure.
Most of
Well,
the
what's
thoughts
your
are
most
negative thoughts.
prevalent? Let me ask you a question.
Most of the thoughts are negative. Usually, people have got negative thoughts. Whether it's the glass is full or glass is half empty. It all
I'm not
depends upon
concerned
the
about the
mindset of the
glasses.
people.
I've got the pitcher. I can refill.
Yeah.
So, in that perspective, though, um, what's your most prevalent, do you think, your most prevalent self-deprecating thought?
I'm not able to still justify my ideas in a right way. That's the challenge right now.
So if you were able to distill your ideas and reach a place where, there's a consistent, everything's a process, everything's habitual. We change our habits, we move from one to another, we replace them. Sometimes, it takes a while. In that process, though, we recognize certain repeating patterns that we seek to change. One of them being how we think, right? So in that process, there's usually uh, one, two, maybe three thoughts, self-deprecating thoughts that we have about ourselves that are causing the majority of the problems, right? What might, and I'm not saying this is the case for you, but in the recognition of your own self-awareness and how you are thinking about you, what have you found to be your nemesis in how you think about yourself?
See, Socrates said one statement. I still stick to that one. An unexamined life is not worth living. So we need to examine our life, right? So this, I think that everybody knows this statement. I follow Socrates very much because I am also doing research about Socrates nowadays.
Sure.
So
Well,
we have to
Socratic
examine
method is
our,
like that. That's like, it's so, this life is about questions, right?
we need to examine our lives. So for that, we should have self-awareness, and and we have to continuously examine our life so that we can find meaning for our lives. So like that, we have to examine continuously. We have to do it. So then only we can find more and more questions. When we have more and more questions, that's what you are doing now. You are like a philosopher. You're asking questions. It's nice. So when you get answers only when you ask question, the right questions.
Sure.
So you are asking the right questions, but only thing I am not able to respond. It's my challenge. It's my challenge. So I am admitting you very honestly. But your questions are very genuine, authentic. You are asking the right questions. But I am trying to do my best and give my best ideas, insights in the best possible way. But still, we are not able to hit the bull's eye.
Okay.
Somewhere we
Well,
are.
let's try and hit the bullseye. Maybe I need to clarify my intention in asking the question,
No, your question is right.
right?
No, intention is right. Question is right. But we are trying to. I am trying to hit the bull's eye, but somewhere we are missing out. It's part of the process because this is a
Oh,
conversation we
yeah.
are having.
Yeah.
This is a
This
conversation
is
we are
what
having.
generative conversations are about,
No,
right? They're
this
this
is a
because
this is
originally
a conversation. We should have it. The more we question, the more questions will come, and the more knowledge we will get. And the more we are provoked, the more knowledge we will get. The more knowledge we will share with the world, and we will build a better world. So the idea of doing all these things is to share our knowledge, build a better world.
sure.
But how you
Well,
do,
not
how
just to
you,
share, part of my intention is that this is always, we're helping to heal each other.
yeah,
The
rightly
world's full
said.
of trauma. And these conversations help alleviate that trauma because it brings things to the surface and resolve. And according to quantum physics, that shift in vibration then ripples through the thought atmosphere and creates change, positive
Mm,
change,
mm, mm.
right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree.
Okay.
I
So
do agree.
wonderful place to begin, right? This is part of that, beginner's mind, right? Um,
See, because it's like, meeting of two intellectuals. You and I are intellectuals, and we are sharing our knowledge, and we are having a conversation. It's a very meaningful and constructive dialogue. The more
but I don't
dialogue
want to
we
do it
have,
just from stating the intellectual side, right? That's living from the head up or from the shoulders up,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
That's we get lost in that intellectual space, in my opinion, sometimes. I know I do. And our
It's part of the
conversations
life.
kind of
It's
reflect it.
part of the life.
So
We
how
have
do we
to,
bring that down into the body, right? Because this is the process you're in right now,
yeah.
redefining your body function, right? As you're in your healing. So I'm really hoping that there's something that we can discover and maybe nudge to emerge in how this process, this healing process, can be attenuated and maybe even further activated in you through the energy exchange, right? Because it's all energy, and me seeing you as whole, you seeing you as whole, that agreement, how can we bring that agreement into a more physical manifestation of it with the return of the sensation to your arm, for instance?
Yeah. See, everything comes down from the mind. So if your mind is there, everything will fall into the place. So the a bad
Tremendous. It's
lesson,
a supercomputer,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
has
yeah,
so much capacity,
yeah.
and like, even Jesus teaching, you can be healed in the blink of an eye. It just takes faith,
Mm, mm,
right? Now, that may not happen in the blink of an eye, right? But the blink of
mm.
an eye is also um, perspective, right? Depending
Yeah,
on how old you are, right? When
yeah,
you're looking at from the eye of God, a blink of an
yeah,
eye could be a millennia, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, but in our human terms, time's much more truncated, it seems. How do you conceive maybe of how we can take the principles that you're talking about, writing about with, the soft leadership, with the seeing the light in you. This is what that's all about, right?
Mm,
Developing the leadership. This
mm.
global leadership comes from within in
Yeah.
this, in my opinion. And as we see the ending and perhaps already end of the Kali Yuga, moving into the Dwapara Yuga
Oh,
stage.
how do you know? How do you know? Yeah, this is the Indian way of saying. It's a natural. Kali
Right.
Yuga, Dwaparika Yoga. How do you know this Hindu mythology? So this is the book. Okay, this
Sure.
is the see the light in you. Okay, fine. So Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. Now we are into Kali Yuga.
Well, it seems one of the guys I interviewed who practices Vedantic astrology, his teacher had said that we're out of Kali Yuga, that we've begun Dwapara Yuga, which is the next phase, very much similar to what the Mayan calendar says of
Uh,
being, in the close of an age and the beginning of a new age. And there's a
yeah.
50-year window according to the Mayan calendar. I don't know that the Hindu calendar, the Kali Yuga and Dwapara Yuga is defined in that way, that specific way. I think it's more a reflection of how society
Mm.
appears
Yeah, correct.
as far as referencing the calendar. So in this new paradigm that we're experiencing, you happen to have um, kind of a precursor or maybe part of this sequestration and self-examination period that the pandemic caused, right?
Yeah,
It
it's
opened
a
up doors for a lot of
yeah.
people to consider
It's a
what
Kali
is to
Yuga.
come.
I can say it is somewhat like Kali Yuga. I got to Indian way of telling me it's Kali
Mhm.
Yuga because there is a lot of people, many people died. There was a disaster. Even I was a victim of this brain stroke and COVID.
Mhm.
So life taught me many things, and
You went through your own
especially
Kali Yuga, right?
yeah,
So on a
and
personal level and experiencing things, because that's, if we're part of the universe, we're going to experience it in
I
how it was
realized
designed.
how fragile the life is after the brain stroke. Otherwise, I was taking everything for granted. I'm telling you very clearly, I was very aggressive in the sense, uh, I was very energetic because daily I go to gym, I do workout, and I morning 4 o'clock I wake up, night 10 o'clock I sleep. I'm very much calculated, and I don't take outside food. I take only home food, and I don't go outside. I only read books, and I'm with my wife.
Hmm.
So that kind of family I led, and this brain stroke ruined my
Well,
health, everything. So it was a
sure,
very
sure,
big challenge.
absolutely. You're feeding yourself from outside. Now let's go inside for a minute.
Hmm.
And back to the Hindu tradition, the Shabda,
Huh?
the
Dashabda.
Shab, the Shabda,
Dashabda.
right?
Dashabda.
You're familiar. So, as I understand it, it is the combination of the life energy vibrations on the planet.
Hmm.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a
That,
sound. It's called the sound current, from what I understand. Something we can hear. Now, it's said to be of a very high pitched sound, right?
Mm,
Sensation, not just a sound, it's a
mm,
sensation.
mm.
Do I mentioned my experience as a teen that I've carried this sound in my head, in my being for 50 some odd years now. And I didn't really understood what it was. Initially you think it's tinnitus, and then you realize, oh no, there's fluctuation, there's moving from one side to the other. What's going on here? And it generally only happens when you're in complete silence. Do you experience that shabda or the high-pitched sound sensation when you meditate?
I do meditation. I did meditation I think 4 hours back also. Daily I do meditation.
Sure. When you go
And
in, when you're deep in that meditation, do you sense the shabda?
that sound, because it was totally blank. When I do meditation, I was totally blank.
In that blankness,
No,
right? There's never nothing,
nothing. It was empty.
right? In that blankness, this is where, in my experience, when you first begin to be in that silence, it often feels like it's silence. But if you listen deeply, it's not silent at all.
Mm.
There's that shabda. I know shabda with Western, the
Sound.
sound current. It's there.
Yeah.
Our hearing is just not subtle enough. Our listening is not subtle enough to actually hear it. If we did, what might happen based on what you know of your tradition and your development in psychology?
No, let me correct this statement. Listening and what that called hearing, both are different. Hearing means passive, and listening means active. That's a difference between
Sure.
what that called hearing
And this
means
is a passive place where you're
anyone can
kind of getting
hear,
to feed in.
but listening means we are paying attention, right? That's one aspect. Now, coming back to this meditation, I did some 3 years back. Daily I'm doing because I was told to take because I have some health challenges.
Mhm.
To overcome the challenges, so I started doing a meditation. Some 3 hours back also I did because it makes my mind very cool. So and I get lost in a different world when I go for meditation. And usually I had a high BP, blood pressure. Because of that high blood pressure, I had a brain stroke.
Sure.
Right. So I was told by a doctor to go do meditation daily, so that you take less intake of salt and do meditation so that you can keep your mind very cool. So I started doing meditation. So when I do meditation, what happens? I was totally blank. So I feel very happy, and I feel I was not excited, but I was
Yeah.
very happy.
I
Internally, I
would
was.
ask, maybe next time you do your meditation,
Yeah,
listen deeper.
I do.
Listen deeper.
Yeah.
See if you can hear that. And I would suggest by doing so, I
No.
suspect by doing so, that when you tune into that frequency, that your arm will have a greater, the restoration will be truncated. I'll put it that way, right? The time
Mm.
for your arm to come back, which I'm sure it probably has to some degree already, right? It may just.
Yeah. I think your point is right. So
I
there
don't
was
know. I'm
less.
saying that I'm offering that as like, okay, so like when we're this close and we're this deep in the awareness and the recognition of each other, there's certain, subtle indicators, promptings, things that we need to share and stuff like that. That doesn't happen normally.
See, no. Let me share with you about
Sure.
this. This my right shoulder and the right hand has been numb. There
Hmm.
was less of circulation. So I am doing some activities. so that there will be everything will be normal. I'll be able to work on my numbness. That's what I am doing. I'm in that
Mhm.
process.
Well, that's all nerves, right? And
That's
the
what
woman that,
that's numbness. I still I have numbness.
yeah.
It takes time,
Oh,
right?
sure. Well,
So
your
that
nerves don't grow
when
that
the
quickly, right?
when the blood circulation comes, what happens? Gradually, I can overcome my numbness, and then I'll be all right. That's one thing. Then I leverage the power of subconscious mind to think. And people, when they have cancer, also they are curing. Some people say due to power of law of attraction. Some people say that scientifically it is not correct. Law of attraction is not correct scientifically. That's what people are telling. There is a book titled Secret, Secret. That woman, I forgot that name. So there was a talk, but it was not scientifically proved. But still, people believe about law of attraction, right? But
Well,
according to
it's not just a law. This is what we call it today, right?
uh,
As ye sow shall, so shall ye reap.
yeah,
That's the Bible phrase. It's the
yeah,
same thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
These
If you
are
give,
ancient
if you give
teachings,
good will come back to us, right?
right?
Yeah. As you sow, so you reap. Yeah. It's not only Bible, everywhere across the world, cultures, religions, they talk about this. If you do good, good will come back. Life is an echo.
And the challenges we face are in the design of our soul so that we can grow. And we
Yeah.
don't necessarily understand that, oh, I guess, precursive conversation that we have before incarnating as to what trials and tribulations we're going to have to go through to find self, right? That's kind of negative. What if we did know? And do we? And I think there's probably some aspects as we further understand consciousness and delve into that willingness to explore it, that we can find some of these answers and that we can restore a greater interconnectivity. And, it's apparent the universe really has no anomalies. If we see them, then we're not seeing it correctly. It's all perspective. If we're all one and we're all connected to that one consciousness, individually doesn't eliminate the individuality that we have. We don't have to give up ourselves to become part of a whole. We already are.
We are already there.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
What
Yeah.
we have to do is understand our individuality and the specifics of it, which is in our genetic code combined with our solar frequency.
Yeah.
So all that information is there. How do we tap into it? That's one of the questions that we have, right?
That's the question. How
And
to
right.
tap? Yeah. How to tap?
And the overall knowledge base that we have to date, edified by quantum physics, also echoing the Vedantic philosophy, then there's this logic that's no longer a leap to conceive that it's possible that we can
Yeah.
do so much more, that we have so many other bodies. I mean, even in various religions, we talk Christianity, right? There's many heavens, right? And
Yeah.
all that was taken up to the third heaven. Well, what's that mean?
Mm.
Was he taken up on board a ship,
Mm.
right? And it seemed like the third heaven because there were beings there that weren't understood, and he got information from them to come back and share, right? There's a lot of that going on today in completely different ways where we're having a greater understanding of the magnitude of the life forms across the universe that we've been oblivious of because we think, in just human terms. So,
Yeah.
how do we expand this? How do you consider that? Because I know in the work that you're doing, these are considerations. What can I do best for the world? How can I empower others? And especially, how can I empower women?
Yeah, correct.
What do we do? What can we do?
It's a challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge.
So if we had an opportunity to just imagine how we might do that, or if you could imagine how we might do that, how, what does your imagination reveal?
Hmm. Yeah.
How would you see that? What would you see as potential evidence that we were learning how to work together better and create a unified field as a planetary consciousness?
We'll work on that. Hopefully, I'll do a little more research about cosmic. I think you are expert in cosmic knowledge, I believe.
Hmm.
So, in which I am not expert actually. So, probably it will be a different
What makes an
area.
expert?
I'll work. Yeah, you are expert in cosmic knowledge, right?
I I don't know.
Because
I
I've
mean,
seen
I
your
know
videos.
stuff. I've experienced stuff. I can share from that place authentically. I can question it. I can dive deep. I can play devil's advocate. I can play, the flag waver, right? However, the whole process is humbling, right? Because as much as you find out, there's much more to know. And it's that imagination, right? Living in the liminal space, right? Which is that space in between the physical and the non-physical. And there's many other non-physical realms, or that seem non-physical because we're not vibrating at that rate. If we were to vibrate at a higher rate, we might see more worlds or be part of them,
Hmm.
which I think is part of what we're being asked to do
Hmm.
as
Where are
well.
you living now? I just want to ask you a question. In USA, which place we are? Where? Indiana. Where
No,
are
I
you
grew up
living?
in Indiana. I moved to Arizona. I'm in the Phoenix Valley area. So I have experienced literally the Phoenix legend,
Uh,
crashing and burning probably a dozen or so times so far in the 40 years that I've been here. I can literally say I've had my 40 years in the desert.
that's what I'm telling. I visited Arizona.
Yes.
Some 2 months back, I was in. It was full of desert. That hill areas, I visited. Then I visited Las Vegas. I visited. That's also desert. Las Vegas, Las Vegas and old Las Vegas, Arizona. That border point also I went. So we enjoyed. Full of desert. Full of
And the
desert.
desert's just beautiful too.
And then we went to California. We went to Hollywood. We went
Uh-huh.
by car. We went by car.
Well, it's a great way to travel and see the scenes. I
We,
love,
we went by car. We rented a car in Vegas. Then we went to Arizona. Then again from there we went to California. We visited Los Angeles.
okay. So you
So
came down 17, went out 10 or into Phoenix and then took 10 to LA.
then again we came to
I don't remember
Seattle.
the names of the
No,
roads, but that's a
then
beautiful
we
drive.
Yeah, no, no. Then again, we came to Vegas. Then from Vegas to Seattle, we came by flight
Hmm.
because I was in Seattle at that time. So
So your climate there, what's it like
it was
compared
very
to?
cold, very, very cold. Now I'm traveling. I'm in India now. Now again, I'll go to Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so it's night in India. I think it's morning there. Yeah, it's afternoon. It's afternoon, I think. For
Well,
you, is it?
this has been a wonderful journey that we've had traveling, around the world a couple of times uh, and maybe even further. And I really appreciate the effort that you have made to share what you know and the process you have. And I'm honored that you've joined us. Um, and I sympathize and empathize with your challenges in health, and I trust that that healing process will continue. Um, and I'm excited about hearing the results as
I rose from the ashes like a phoenix. You
yep,
were talking about phoenix, you know. I often use the one-liner, this too shall pass. That's one statement.
absolutely.
This too shall
Everything
pass.
is
Then,
transitory, temporary and transitory. You just
yeah,
be patient.
I use two statements. One is, I rose from the ashes like a phoenix. Then the second statement, I say that this too shall pass. Like COVID, you know, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
This
So
is a
is that
temporary phase.
would that be like the kernel of truth that you could leave our audience with as far as advice? So what would you offer for daily living to our audience?
Uh, uh, could you repeat the question? I couldn't.
Sure.
Uh,
If you could or would give some advice or
oh, uh,
to our
so,
audience of
okay,
something that
okay,
they
okay.
could
I got it. See,
something
it's
they
very
could do on a
simple.
daily basis.
And yeah, the thing is very simple. Be ambitious. Don't be over ambitious. When you are over ambitious, you are likely to cut the corner. So be ambitious and lead your life ethically and mindfully too. And respect women, right? Because I have signed up for hashtag he for she. I encourage women empowerment. That's one more thing. And emphasize humanity, emphasize empathy, and there is nothing greater than humanity. So humanity is everything. And we Indians believe in one thing, that is the entire world is one family. That means there is nothing like Hindus or Christians, Muslims, like that. We are all one family. That's what I believe in. So we call Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That means the entire world is one family. That's what we Indians believe. I also stick to it. I will tell everyone that we are one, irrespective of languages, irrespective of nations, irrespective of caste, irrespective of religions. We are one, and that's what I stick to it. So let us emphasize humanity. Humanity is everything. This is the message I share with everyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And may we be one people, one planet, one time.
Oh, right. You put it in a one. Yeah, good. You are number. You are very smart. You know how to put it in a
I'm
right
just
way.
lucky, right?
No, yeah, one planet, one people. I was talking in a very lengthy way,
And it's not my
but
phrase.
you put it in a very simple and straight forward language.
Yes,
It's a true honor. I enjoyed this conversation. Hopefully, we'll have more and more conversations on different topics.
I hope so.
And and if possible, you can interview me on about memoir. I'm writing my memoir about my health challenges. So I started writing, slowly typing with my left hand. So it takes time.
I'm
So this
sure.
will be yeah. So
Here's,
hopefully, if it.
let me leave you with this. Like my wife did when she had her stroke and her right side was paralyzed, right? She
Uh,
went to the piano every day and she
uh,
put her hand on the keys
uh,
and willed her hand to play.
uh, uh,
I suggest trying that with your keyboard.
mm,
And it
mm.
may be, I'm sure it's going to be, frustrating as heck to begin with. However, if you don't do it, it won't happen,
uh,
right? Be ambitious.
and I'm very let me share with you one more thing. You are lucky to have a good wife.
Yes.
She's caring woman. You often refer about your wife, your conversation. So that shows how much deeply you love your wife. I'm very happy that
They wouldn't be here without her.
yeah, I share with my everyone that without my wife, I'm nothing in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without wife, I would be nothing, because when I had a brain stroke, my wife, I survived because of my wife. Otherwise, I would have been dead. in the year 2021.
Yeah, it's sometimes there's practice marriages, right? I had one of
Mm.
those, and it took a while to develop myself and be ready for
Mm.
the full relationship that I have with her. Um, it's wow.
So how do you make a living? Actually, I never asked. Are you working? Are you doing any business or what you are doing actually?
I have a few things we can talk about that afterward.
Okay, okay, okay. We'll talk the
Yeah,
things because
I've got 40 some odd books on Amazon. I do I'm an integral guide, transformational life coach. I am the operations director for Live and Let Live Global Peace Movement and the founder of Planetary Citizens.
oh,
That's my wife. So those are, a number of things. Occasionally I'll do some web work. I've done all the web work on my websites,
then oh,
Planetary Citizens.
how do you manage your time? And
Uh,
I read,
micro,
I
there's a good
watched
answer for
your,
that. I
I
manage
watched
time through
uh,
micro moments.
micro moments. Okay, okay,
So what that means is
uh,
when I'm waiting on something else, I have time to do something else,
micro moments. Yeah. Mhm.
right?
Uh,
And when you begin to manage those, you look at your patterns as a project manager. I learned this in aerospace industry in my 20s. Everything has its own timeline. It has its own process. It has
uh,
its own pattern, rhythm.
uh, uh,
And so when you have, I mean, at this point, I had 800 part numbers that I was dealing with, right? So I got to know their cycles very well. And in that process, then I was able to fit in other items of lesser importance to that brought everything else, the overall production, to a higher
mm,
level
mm.
because I plugged things in. I was just we have all kinds of moments in our days where we could plug stuff in, be ambitious, right? What
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
said,
yeah. That's what I tell. Be ambitious, but don't be over ambitious. And
right?
one more thing, let me congratulate
Well,
your
be
book.
ambitious, don't be aggressive, right? Because
Yeah,
the universe doesn't like aggression.
yeah, correct. Yeah,
It,
correct.
it it will fight back, and
Yeah,
just like live and let live, that we want to change the law to remove aggression, right? These are things that are necessary in our lives. We need to be able to live peacefully any way we so choose.
and one more thing, I have seen on Amazon that three books, anthology or three books. I've got
Link in the
Amazon,
description.
three books,
But thank
three
you for
books.
asking. So, our
Okay, okay.
unfortunately, we're closing on our,
Time.
and I so appreciate
Hmm.
your energy, your intelligence, and your journey. Thanks for
Oh,
sharing it.
thank you. It's a true,
Namaste and in Lak'ech. And
with
thanks for listening.
gratitude, with gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste and in Lak'ech. And thanks for sticking with us for this episode of One World in a New World. I'm your host, and with gratitude from the professor and myself, I'll see you next time.